Welcome to Little Stories Around Us, a calm corner where you can relax, listen, and learn English through simple, meaningful stories. Take a deep breath, slow down your mind, and let today's story guide you. Sometimes learning something new feels like walking through fog. At first, everything looks unclear. But when you keep walking, little by little, the path becomes brighter. Every small step matters. This story is about a young man named Jason who learned not only English, but also courage, patience, and hope. Jason was 25 years old. He lived in a small, quiet town surrounded by hills. Every morning, he walked the same road to a small grocery shop where he worked. The job was fine, but deep inside, he wanted more. He often dreamed about seeing the world, meeting people from different countries, and speaking English fluently. His friends sometimes laughed, "Why do you want to learn English? We don't need it here." But Jason smiled softly. "I just feel it's important." When he came home at night, he opened an old English book and repeated words slowly. Apple, book, happiness. Sometimes he understood, sometimes not, but he didn't stop. One day, while watching a travel video online, he saw London, the red buses, the big clock tower, the river, and people talking in English everywhere. He thought, one day I will go there. I will understand them. That night he wrote in his notebook, "Goal, study English abroad." It was a quiet dream, but a strong one. A few months later, he finally did it. He saved money, applied for a short English course, and flew to London. It was the first time he left his country. When the airplane landed, his hands were shaking from both fear and excitement. At the airport, everything was new. Bright signs, fast voices, people walking quickly. A woman asked, "Where are you going?" Jason smiled nervously. "I go school." She smiled kindly and pointed the way. That small kindness made him feel less alone. On his first day at school, he met his teacher, Mr. Smith, a tall man with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "Welcome, everyone," said Mr. Smith. "We are all here to learn together." The classroom was full of students from around the world. Italy, Japan, Brazil, Korea. Everyone spoke English differently with their own accent. That day, Jason met Liam, a cheerful boy from Italy who loved to cook. They became roommates and soon good friends. In the evenings, they cooked dinner together in their tiny apartment. "Pass me the salt," Jason said. "How do you say this in English?" Liam asked, holding a tomato. They laughed and practiced new sentences every day. Sometimes they listened to English songs and tried to sing along, even when they didn't understand the words. Sometimes they watched cartoons because the English was slow and easier. These small habits became their daily routine, fun, simple, but very powerful. One Sunday, they went to a cafe after class. People around them spoke fast, laughter, stories, jokes flying everywhere. Jason listened hard, but it felt like waves crashing in his ears. "I can't understand anything," he whispered. "Me neither," Liam replied. They looked at each other and laughed sadly. That night, Jason couldn't sleep. He looked out the window and thought, maybe English is too hard for me. But then he remembered why he came, to grow, not to give up. The next morning, after class, he stayed behind to talk to Mr. Smith. "Teacher," he said softly, "I can read English, but I can't understand when people speak fast." Mr. Smith smiled warmly. "That's normal, Jason. Don't worry. Listening is one of the hardest parts. I'll share a secret with you. Listen every day, even if you don't understand, and try something called shadowing." "Shadowing?" "Yes," Mr. Smith said. "You listen to a native speaker and repeat right after them, like their shadow. It trains your ear and your mouth together." That evening, Jason told Liam about it. "Let's try," Liam said excitedly. They listened to short clips from a cartoon, paused and repeated the lines. Sometimes they laughed because their pronunciation sounded funny. But slowly the sounds became clearer. Each day Jason practiced a little more, on the bus, in the park, even while brushing his teeth. He whispered English words to himself, turning them into small friends. One weekend they visited a museum. Liam read the signs aloud and Jason repeated. They spoke quietly, helping each other. At a cafe afterwards, Jason listened again to the people around him. This time he caught small pieces. "How are you? See you later. Sounds good." He smiled proudly. It was working.
From that moment, Jason stopped being afraid of mistakes. He started talking to people, in shops, on the street, at the bus stop. Sometimes he forgot words, but he smiled and said, "Sorry, I'm still learning." Most people were kind and helped him. As weeks passed, Jason grew more confident. Mr. Smith noticed and said, "You're ready for a small presentation." Jason's heart raced. "Me?" "Yes, just tell us about your English journey." He practiced every night. Sometimes Liam listened and clapped. On the big day, Jason stood in front of the class, holding a small paper in his shaking hands. "Hello, everyone. My name is Jason. I came here to learn English. At first, I was afraid, but now I feel happy when I speak." The class smiled and applauded. Jason's eyes were full of light. That day, he realized that speaking English was not about being perfect, it was about being brave. A few weeks later, Mr. Smith invited the class to a language exchange event in a cozy pub. People from many countries were there. The air was full of music and friendly voices. Jason felt nervous at first, but when someone said, "Hi, where are you from?" he smiled and replied, "I'm from Vietnam, and I'm learning English." They talked about food, music, and dreams. A woman from Spain said, "I used to be afraid to talk too, but practice makes you free." Her words stayed in Jason's mind. After that night, Jason created a new habit with Liam. Every evening, they wrote 5 new English words on small notes and put them around the apartment, on the fridge, the mirror, the door. Words like courage, hope, progress, mistake, journey. Every time they saw them, they repeated them aloud. Sometimes they tested each other while cooking. "What does courage mean?" Jason asked. Liam laughed. "It means not being afraid to speak English." They both smiled. Time passed quickly. The city that once felt huge and confusing now felt like home. Jason understood bus announcements, restaurant menus, and even British jokes. One rainy afternoon, he and Liam went back to the same cafe where they once felt lost. This time, they could understand every conversation around them. "Remember our first day here?" Liam said. Jason nodded, smiling. "I do. We couldn't understand a single word. And now it feels like music." Their teacher often said, "Fluency means confidence, not perfection." Jason finally understood what that meant. He no longer feared mistakes. He even enjoyed learning from them. Months later, the school held an end-of-course event. Each student had to give a short speech. Jason stood on stage, looked at the crowd, and took a deep breath. "Hello, everyone," he said calmly. "My name is Jason. I used to be afraid of English, but I learned something important. Every mistake is a small teacher. Every word is a step forward. And every day is a chance to begin again." When he finished, the room filled with applause. He bowed slightly, smiling through tears. It wasn't just a language he had learned. It was a new way to see himself. That night, Jason and Liam walked along the river. The city lights danced on the water. Learning English changed my life, Jason said softly. It's not just words. It's courage, friendship, and growth. Liam nodded. And it's only the beginning. Sometimes we wait for big success, but true change comes quietly. One word, one step, one kind smile at a time.
If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to Little Stories Around Us to learn English calmly every week. See you in the next story, and take care of your dreams.